Right, good morning. Welcome to the Thurston, County Board of County Commissioners Agenda Setting Work Session for Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. It's 9:04 a.m. My name is Ty Menser, Chair of the Board. My left is Vice Chair Commissioner Wayne Fournier and Commissioners Rachel Grant, Emily Klaus, and Carolina Mejia. Participating virtually, County Manager Leonard Hernandez, Assistant County Manager Jennifer Walker, and Joshua Cummings, Clerk of the Board Amy Davis. The meeting is being recorded and will be posted to the Thurston County YouTube channel within 24 hours. Written public comment may be received up to 2 hours in advance of the meeting and distributed to the Board of County Commissioners. Action may be taken at this meeting. All right, first up is a first review of the business agenda proposed for next Tuesday, November 4th. So if we could pull that forward, we'll have 2 p.m. start as usual. Calling the meeting to order, Commissioner Mejia will lead Pledge of Allegiance, land acknowledgement, approval of agenda. And then we'll have a presentation regarding a proclamation for Native American Heritage Month.
Good morning, Commissioners. Amy Davis, Clerk of the Board. For Native American Heritage Month, we'll be joined by several representatives of the Chehalis, Squaxin, and Nisqually tribes, along with other community groups and members who have been kept in the loop and are looking forward to the proclamation.
And then we'll have a recess.
Yes.
Okay. Questions on the proclamation or preliminary items? Okay, County Manager update.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. We will be showing a video on the progress that the county has made on Summit Lake and the support that the county provided to the residents. Special thanks to Susan, our new communications manager, who's right there on cue. Wow, look at that. Enter stage left. So yeah, we're excited to show that because some of the items that the board works on, they have long lead times, and by the time they finally come to fruition, it can be a board item that's passed or an executive session that gives direction. So this is an opportunity for us to celebrate the hard work of the board in supporting the residents of Summit Lake area.
Okay, any questions on that? Public comment, and then for agenda items, and then we have a long consent agenda. Item 1 is agreement for Sourcewell fuel card contract, Central Services.
Good morning, Kim.
Good morning. Good morning, Kim Burnett, Central Services Director. We're requesting authorization to allow the Central Services Director to execute a 5-year agreement beginning January 1st, 2026 with the U.S. Bank Voyager Fleet Card Program. This allows county employees to refuel their vehicles at commercial stations. We're also requesting authorization for any future amendments that do not exceed 10%. We currently use the U.S. Bank Voyager Fuel Card Services via a Sourcewell cooperative contract. The current contract expires December 31st, 2025, and Sourcewell has re-awarded a new competitively bid contract to Voyager. This offers us an opportunity to continue that established relationship. We currently have 301 Voyager cards that have been issued to county employees, and in 2024, where there were 8,900 transactions amounting to 99,000 gallons of fuel purchased. 75% of these transactions were from the Thurston County Sheriff's Office due to their countywide patrol footprint. Further, there's no service charges for this card, and it includes a variable rate-based rebate incentive program, which makes it cost-effective. And in 2024, we actually received $5,000 in rebates from this program. So we respectfully request approval of this item, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Kim from the board? Hearing none, thank you. Item 2 is also Central Services resolution amending the countywide equipment rental program.
We're requesting approval to amend the countywide equipment rental program resolution number 13158 to allow funds that are deposited into the ER&R fund for replacement of vehicles to be returned to the department or office when a program is eliminated or a substantial reduction in participation occurs. Central Fleet Services manages the ER&R fund, and we own the county vehicles and equipment. And we charge offices and departments rates for the operation, maintenance, and replacement of those assets. The purpose of the replacement rates is to ensure funds are available to replace equipment when it's no longer economical to maintain. Resolution 13158 addresses the administration of that fund, but it does not specifically address the return of excess replacement contributions. In cases where a central service customer eliminates or substantially reduces their participation in the ENR program due to no longer needing the vehicles or equipment, the amended resolution clarifies that funds deposited in the replacement fund should be returned to the originating fund. And we're defining a substantial reduction as a decrease of 10% or more in the total replacement cost of the equipment. This aligns with guidance from the State Auditor's Office BARS manual, which directs that excess contributions should be returned to the originating funds in an equitable manner if they're no longer needed. Each instance of a return of funds would be through an operating transfer incorporated into the county's annual budget process, and it would be subject to Board of County Commissioner approval. So we respectfully request to approve this item, and I'd be happy to answer any questions on that.
So equipment rental program, equipment replacement and reserve, those are two different things, right?
It's ER&R is the equipment rental and replacement program, I believe, is the official, but in the resolution, they call it the equipment rental program.
That seems like two different things to me. Equipment replacement and reserve is putting money aside for future replacement. Equipment rental, isn't that like what we use for the lake management districts want to rent a truck for the I just want to make sure we have the terminology right, because I don't think those things are connected.
Bruce, do you want to come?
ER&R, it's equipment rental and revolving. Rental and revolving. Part of the function that ER&R provides is calculating a rental rate on equipment. And that's based off of usage.
Bruce, can you clarify for me?
Certainly. So ER&R, equipment rental and revolving, refers to the operations of two funds, 5410, the maintenance and operation costs, and the 5420, the reserve fund. So when the board approves annual rates by piece of, those rates are established by piece of equipment, and those are actually a rental rate to the customer offices and departments, because Central Services ER&R actually owns the equipment that's used by all customers.
So the resolution that we have to amend covers both of those components. There's two funds.
It's specific to 5420, the refund of excess reserve contributions. So if a customer deposits money towards the replacement of a piece of equipment, and then in the future they decide that equipment's no longer needed because the program is discontinued, then we need a mechanism to return those funds. And this resolution is intended just to clarify that procedurally.
So for example, at the Waste and Recovery Center, there were quite a bit of equipment that when we had our prior operator there, we don't need to replace those pieces of equipment. So that's a large chunk of money that's sitting in that fund that would go back to the solid waste fund.
Okay.
It's a cleanup item procedurally to get to align what needs to be replaced, and if it doesn't, then to release those funds.
Return the funds, right?
All right, I think I understand the item. I just want to make sure we didn't have a typo in
Yeah.
terms of the rental confused me. But you guys are on top of it, so anybody else questions on this one? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Item 3 is CPED, Habitat Conservation Plan Acquisition. Young Pocket Gopher South Service Area. Ashley?
Good morning, Ashley Rice, CPED Director. This is a follow-up to the executive session that was held about a week and a half ago regarding the acquisition of a YPG South property, about 144 acres. The PSA has been signed. This item asks for board direction to authorize the county manager to execute the purchase and sign the related closing documents within 90 days of that purchase and sale agreement being finalized. As long as it doesn't exceed the appraised value and associated closing costs.
Questions on item 3? No, thank you. Item 4 is interlocal agreement renewal for voluntary stewardship program or VSP.
Yeah, so this is actually a companion agreement to the voluntary stewardship program contract that the board authorized on October 21st. A lot of the monies that come from the State Conservation Commission are passed through to our technical service provider, the Thurston Conservation District. So this contract would establish that relationship so that we could provide TCD funding to go ahead and continue the good work they do with farmers on the technical service provision side.
Any questions on VSP item? All right, we'll keep on going. Item 5, setting a public hearing for City of Yelm annexation interlocal agreement.
Yeah, so this is one of the first annexations that you'll have seen since the Lacey one. This is pretty standard interlocal agreement annexation. Yelm has been working with the county since October of last year on this. And so we've reviewed the interlocal agreement and are ready to set a hearing. That's really the last action that the county takes as the initiator of the annexation. Yelm will continue with outreach and working with the boundary review board to get that annexation finalized.
And commissioners, we are working with our departments to identify impact of sales tax. So since we have that dialed in, we'll share that with the full board.
Okay. Questions on Yelm annexation? Okay. Is that proceed, Craig?
I think so. I'll be back later.
All right, item 6 is a treasurer's or HR item related to the treasurer's office. Resolution to increase full-time equivalency of accounting analyst.
Morning, Commissioners. Maria Ponte. I'm presenting an item on behalf of the treasurer. They have an accounting analyst position that's at a 0.6 due to sustained and increasing workload. They're requesting to reallocate it up to a full-time position. Understanding the general fund situation, the treasurer evaluated their funds and they have capacity in non-general fund to absorb the increase as well as absorb an partial increase in the general fund, which would actually save $60,000 starting in 2026. The budget team has reviewed and confirmed this budget strategy and we're in support of this. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Questions? No.
Right, thank you.
Can you explain again how that saves the general fund money?
So the 0.6, they reduced the general fund expenditure on that.
Okay.
And the 0.4 is out of these other non-general funds.
Okay.
This is the treasurer's commitment to understanding that the general fund is under pressure, so he's accessing other funds he's has available to him to help make up for that position.
It's appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yep.
we really appreciate his efforts. Thank you.
Item 7 is being removed per the clerk,
Correct.
so we'll be addressing that at some later time, or maybe not, but it's off for the agenda next week. Item 8 is Amendment 1 to the Healthcare Authority contract for lead programming.
Morning, Jen.
Morning. Right, Director of Public Health and Social Services. I'll be up here a while.
All right.
Many. All right, this is a request to approve Amendment 1 to contract with the Healthcare Authority for the LEAD program, Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion Programming, to increase the award just over 1 million for a total of $1,406,837 and to extend the end date to June 30th, 2027. The next 3 AISs go together because this first one is the amendment to receive the biennium funding, and the next 2 are then to allocate the biennium funding. So the first one is to OHRS and the second one is to the TMBH ASO. And this is anticipated is we receive new allocation each biennium for the LEAD program, but this was done outside of the biennium as additional funding. They had one-time money to help expand and capacity building for the LEAD program. So this is in addition.
So this is items 8, 9, and 10.
Correct.
Questions on this set of items? All right. Okay. Moving to item 11, go ahead.
Yep, this is a request for the board to approve the interlocal agreement with Washington State Department of Children, Youth and Families in the amount of $1,292,650.98 for July 1, 2025 through July 31, 2026 to provide nurse family partnership services to 162 families in the regional partnership of Lewis, Mason, and Thurston. This is just a renewal of the contract we've had with DCYF for over 12 years. It funds 6.4 FTE of nursing time, 1 supervisor, and 0.35 of support staff. And just a quick breakdown, it's 55 families in Thurston, 67 in Mason, and 40 families in Lewis, and that's dictated by DCYF. So they tell us how many families need to be in each county based upon their metrics. And these are federal funds, but they are stable at this time.
Can you elaborate on that? That was gonna be my question, but I'd like to hear more.
On the federal funds?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so they are federal pass through to this state through DCYF, and then they pass them through. It's relatively stable funding because Nurse Family Partnership is has that empirical based fidelity model that's been around for decades, and so there is no even talk of this funding being reduced or decreased, unlike some of our other funds, which they've been very transparent to tell us that they could be.
Commissioner, if the state was tracking, since it's a pass through to the state, if the state was tracking that the funding was in jeopardy, we definitely highlight to the board immediately. Since they haven't done so, there's a level of confidence today we can move forward.
Okay.
In fact, they even increased one part of the MICV funding of this, so increased ever so slightly, but
Goodness, it's an important program.
All right, and let's go to item 12, contract with Interfaith Works for Sandy's Flats.
yes, thank you. This is a request for the board to approve the contract with Interface Works for $51,562 using local document recording fee funding to repair a fire damaged unit at Sandy's Flats. In July, a resident experiencing a mental health crisis started a fire in the unit, which despite prompt intervention with the staff, still did a number of damage to the unit before the fire was extinguished. And Interfaith Works submitted a proposal to the Homeless Services Advisory Board requesting homeless services emergency funding to cover the cost of repairs. On August 27, the Regional Housing Council approved the recommendation to provide the funding from the emergency fund for this request. Answer any questions?
Any questions? Doesn't look like we have any questions on that. Healthcare Authority contract, criminal justice treatment account.
Yes, and Shaylin Sowers, our treatment sales tax program manager, will come up to help answer any questions. This is a request for the board to approve Washington State Healthcare Authority contract for CJTA, the Criminal Justice Treatment Account Funds, to provide substance use disorder treatment and recovery support services to individuals involved in the criminal justice system for a total maximum amount of $739,866 for the duration of July 1, 2025 to June 30th, 2027. And Shay will explain the reason why we're bringing this back is they have extended to a 2-year contract as opposed to annually.
Yeah, as you know, on September 16th, we came in and we presented a 1-year criminal justice treatment account plan that outlined the budget and recipients recommended by the local CJTA panel for 2026. And since then, the Healthcare Authority has shifted from a 1-year to a 2-year contract. So the CJTA panel is revising the plan so that it matches the contract duration for the 2 years. So this revised CJTA plan is scheduled for the board's review on the November 12th agenda. And so in summary, approving this contract will only enable the county to receive criminal justice treatment account funds, and the specific uses of the funds, including the subrecipients and program allocations recommended by the CJTA panel, will be presented separately as part of the November 12th agenda.
And Shaylin, there were some changes that the CJTA panel made as far as the recommendations and the funding, correct?
They're going to be meeting this week to revisit the discussion.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, and all stakeholders will be advised of that conversation?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So no changes made.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
question just on the last one with Sandy's Flats. Why wouldn't their insurance cover it?
That is a great question.
Like I would think that,
Tom?
yeah, like, wouldn't Sandy's Flats carry insurance on their building or?
Good on item 13. That's good on item 13.
Hi.
I'm good on it. Sorry to interject. Go
Shayla,
back to-
Yeah, anything on the CJTA? Okay, thank you, Shirley.
Thank you, Sean, for your work.
We're back to 12, Tom.
The copy hasn't kicked in, so my mind's moving slow, so I'm still on item 12.
Yeah, so it's a good question because it's the same question that the Homeless Services Advisory Board went back to Interfaith Works to ask and to see whether insurance could cover it. The answer they received is, in theory, yes, they could. Insurance rates for these types of housing are incredibly high, even without claims. And so there was a real concern that filing this claim for this funding would skyrocket Interface insurance premiums and make it really difficult in the future to get insurance even. And so the Homeless Service Advisory Board understood that in the long term, there's probably savings to Interfaith Works to play this claim rather than going through their insurance, because insurance premiums are very sensitive to claims for homeless shelters or other kind of similar permanent supportive housing projects.
I mean, I could see that potentially being true, but is it, I guess my question is how speculative is, I mean, do they deal with an insurance agent who, but by working with, this market and these types of projects gave them concrete information, or was it just like, how speculative is that conclusion that was drawn?
You stole my question.
Yeah, I can go back and get that more detailed information. I don't know off the top of my head. There was a back and forth between the Homeless Services Advisory Board around this specific issue. And Interfaith Works did provide some more specific details around that. So I can go back and provide that more detailed answer to you. I don't want to speak off the cuff because I don't recall those specific details.
When you get that information, work with Amy and she can distribute it to the full board with background. We'll go ahead and flag this item for
Touch base on here.
There might be an opportunity to just establish based off of some criteria, if the claim is gonna be under this, we'll be compensating for it. If it goes over, like, that's that cost benefit. If it goes over, then we would file it.
And also, I would hope they understand that there's not a lot of water left in the well here. And so they need to be extra cautious of any potential damages like this, because it's gonna be hard to not go to the insurance company in the future. Can you explain the document recording fees? Like, what are those and where do those come from and what all can those be used for?
Yeah, so local document recording fees are under, so when someone purchases a house or refinances a mortgage, there's a document recording fee with the auditor or the assessor's office. They pay a fee that is dedicated, that comes back to the county, specific for homeless services activities. So they're dedicated to homeless services activities. So it's a locally collected fee that's authorized under RCW.
Not on this one, but can we also bring back item 13? If there is going to be a meeting this week, I would like to kind of hear about it next week.
session. Sure. You agreed to get a report out on how that meeting went.
Or if it's simple, we could just flag this for touching base next Tuesday. Okay, 12 and 13, anything else for these guys? All right, thank you. Okay, 14 is public health.
Not funny.
Still here.
You don't get to go anywhere. Resolution of intention to establish Lake Lawrence, Lake Management District number 26.
Yes, this proposal received 38% of the total acreage within the existing LLMD exceeding the required signatures of the owners having at least 20% of the acreage contained within the proposed district for the RCW. The funds raised from property owners' annual special assessments for the first year, 2027, are estimated to be 192,558 and will not exceed 200,845. And I have Season Long, our division director, here to help answer any questions.
But I know just for the board, as you're completing Long Lake, which is gonna be the next item, you're starting Lawrence Lake. So the public health team has been, I think, doing a great job communicating with Barry Halverson at Lake Lawrence and appreciate the partnership and getting the Lake Lawrence one started quickly this year. But just want to make sure that there's a separation between those two. You're ending Long Lake, completing that process, and you're starting Lake Lawrence, which will go into 2026.
So with Lake Lawrence, we don't have this. We'll have all of 2026 to get it done.
Correct. So we're happy to get on the ball, start going.
Any questions for some season or?
They will be happy to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you. So the next is the public hearing for amended role of special assessments for Lake Management District 25 for Long Lake.
Yes, thank you. This is a request for the board to set a public hearing for December 2nd at 3:30 p.m. to receive and consider public comments on the proposed resolution for the amended role of special assessments for Thurston County Lake Management District number 25, Long Lake. Just as a recap, on August 5th, the BOCC approved the resolution of intention to create the Long Lake Management District. On October 7th, the BOCC approved the resolution of findings and determinations for Long Lake. Ballots were then mailed on October 8th. They are due October 29th. And if the majority vote is yes, the ordinance will be presented to you all on November 4th. And I have Stuart here to help answer any questions.
So if they vote no, then we just cancel this?
It's over. Yeah. If it's a vote no, then it's over. The separate would be considered.
We don't anticipate that at this time.
When do we get the results of that?
So the count will be, it's a public, so the public is invited. And we've had some people reach out. It's gonna be, the count will be on Thursday at 10:30 in the morning, either here or upstairs, depending upon who shows up. And so we will be conducting the count with, probably 2 or 3 people for transparency, and then people can witness it. And we kind of go from there. But if the vote is yes, then we'll be coming back before you on November 4th, because we need to call for the final step, which is the role of assessment, the actual money piece, which is where the board on December 2nd would become a kind of an equalization board to determine, are these rates fair? They're going to hear more public comment. You can make changes to that role if you wish. You have broad authority under RCW to impact that final role of assessment before it goes.
You answered a lot of questions there. So real quick, the vote ends October 29th. That's when the ballots are due. Then when will the votes be tallied? What day?
Thursday.
So then we'll probably know next week with the totals after we do all that. It's not just 1 for 1. You've got to look at the number of acreage and make sure that the weighted votes are accurate. So next week, answer your question, Commissioner Grant.
I just want to say, like, from my perspective, looks like it's been a good process. And I've like, it's nerdy, but I've appreciated watching it go through, because like when we had the public hearing, there was information that came that we were all like, oh, we'd like to learn more about this. And I felt like there was, members of the public that maybe had new information, misinformation, and that was all worked through. And so like, I feel like the whole process has been very transparent and open, and I learned along with people. So I like the way that the county went about it, and whoever's ultimately responsible for those things, I think it was well done.
Yeah, the system is set up for plenty of opportunity for public to have impact on the final result. But
Yeah,
also
it could have been
board.
derailed, like at many points, but it was kept on the tracks, and it was done well.
Yeah, and you mentioned the meeting where City of Lacey was here. They've negotiated an agreement with the City of Lacey already on what
That's awesome.
it will be. And also the Canna Grove 5 will be removed from the role of assessment pursuant to the fact we have no access to the lake. So it's all good information to get and fix those things. But the final thing is on December 2nd, where you still, as a board, have you have say in what the final role of assessment is based on public comment and based on your own beliefs.
So thank you for that. Appreciate it. It is one of the first times that we've gone through this process, so there is more to learn. But thank you for the appreciation of staff.
Okay. Going, item 16, contract award for solid waste and bullpen janitorial services, Public Works.
Good morning, Commissioners. Karen Weiss, Public Works Director. So the first item that is before us is a request to the board to award a contract for janitorial services at 6 Public Works facilities. This includes 3 solid waste disposal sites and 3 bullpen facilities in Rainier, Rochester, and Mud Bay. All of these Public Works managed sites have unique custodial needs, which include 7-day-a-week operations, remote locations, or weekend operations. These services were bid through the Department of Enterprise Services contract, and 2 companies submitted proposals based on the scope of services provided. Of the vendors that provided adequate responses, Cabro's Cleaning Services of Chehalis, Washington was selected based on their balance of cost, service proposal, and references. So we're requesting the board award a 2-year agreement beginning January of 2026 for an annual aggregate cost of $36,621.72, which is a revision from what is in the motion showing on the business meeting agenda. I believe that was price to tax calculation, and we're working with Amy to get that updated. And that would be paid through solid waste and road funds.
So what is it? What is the correct number?
$36,621.72.
And how many locations you said?
A total of 6, 3 solid waste facilities and 3 bullpen locations. And one of which is the Waste and Recovery Center.
Bullpen location.
Bullpen locations are outlying locations that we dispatch and keep supplies and equipments for our road operations groups.
Meeting?
All right, and
Next up is public hearing for utility and noxious weed assessment rates.
thank you. So Public Works is requesting the board set a public hearing for Monday, December 1st. It says Tuesday, December 1st on the agenda, but we're also working on updating that. To set rates and charges by resolution for Thurston County solid waste utilities, stormwater, utility, water and sewer utilities, and the noxious weed program. These rate adjustments are needed to address cost escalations in each of the respective programs, including staffing and benefits, repairs, supplies, contractual services, utilities, and investment in future infrastructure needs. We held a briefing with the board on July 30th, providing background information and a discussion on the proposed rates. Since that point, we've had tailored communication and outreach plans that have been implemented that have included web posting, inclusions in utility bills and newsletters, posting at facilities, et cetera. And for context on those rate adjustments, our solid waste utility rates were last adjusted in 2012. Our stormwater utility rates were last adjusted in 2019. The water and sewer utilities rate adjustments implement years 3 and 4 of a consolidated rate model that blends utility rates over a 5-year period for all service areas to pay the same rates beginning in 2028. And the noxious weed assessment was last adjusted in 2016. For each of these programs were applicable, all rates were developed and recommended by their respective advisory boards or committees. And the date of the public hearing will correspond with the county's public hearing on revenue. The adoption of the rates themselves will be a part of the budget adoption process.
Questions on item 17?
Okay, thank you very much.
Next up, we have 7 tax title actions. And we have the County Treasurer, Jeff Gavin.
Chair, sorry, I had a question. I couldn't get my hand up quick enough.
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Klaus.
Just a quick question. I didn't catch when the stormwater fees were last updated.
2019.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right, so tax titles are items 18 through 24.
Good morning, commissioners. Thank you for your time this morning. So I've got 7 tax title properties that we're wanting to sell. I'm going to talk about the first 5 all at once because they're the same buyer. These are on Blue Hill, southwest of Tenino. And they're little strips of land that ended up left over. This is very, very common when people are writing legal descriptions to subdivide land. You end up with these tiny little strips for whatever reason they decided not to include in a piece of property. Sometimes that's for future road planning or whatever. All of these properties are surrounded by land that's owned by Department of Natural Resources. The very first one was triggered by one of the Central Services letters that we've been sending out in partnership with them. Saying, hey, you own there's a property next door you may want to buy. In the process of talking to DNR, we discovered there was 4 more properties in the same general area. And they want to buy them basically because they don't own them. If they go in to harvest that area, they've got to work around these little 15-foot and 30-foot strips. And so they really lowballed us on the first offer saying, hey, you're going to get timber revenue off of these. I said, I cannot sell. I said, I cannot sell a $500 sale price to the commissioners. I'm sorry. So they got budget authority and upped their game a little bit and kind of adjusted the offering prices according to the size of the property. Good job.
Maybe they should go to auction.
Please.
This is a good thing, taking tax title property and
Yeah.
putting it back in.
No, it
It's
is.
a good.
It is.
It's making sense of things.
Trying to get that inventory down.
All right, we
Okay.
have a couple of others.
Yeah, so the second one is off of Libby Road. Again, the result of a letter, another leftover piece. The thinking is that at some point, somebody thought there would be a road extension, but it just never happened, and it was never called out in a legal description. It just literally was left over from 3 pieces of property around it that were carved out of a bigger piece. So this one is up for, I think, $1,000.
How big is it?
It is 0.69. It's like I think it's a 28-foot strip.
All right, we got final one.
Final one, this one's interesting. This is in the Hillview plat near Olympia High School off North Street. 1.17 acres was actually originally in the plat as a park. So as you know, the words on the face of a plat are sacrosanct and nearly impossible to amend after the plat's been done. For whatever reason, the gentleman that platted this subdivision kept private ownership of this property, transferred to somebody else over time. Then eventually they quit paying taxes on it, so we got it as tax title. There's been some concern with some of the neighbors about lack of maintenance. And oh, he's dumping his brush over there and stuff. So we had a property owner come forward that would like to buy it, and they're offering $2,500. It can never be developed because, again, on the face of the plat, it's designated as a park.
This one says 3,400. So.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Trying to remember them all when I came in.
Okay. All right. Any questions on item 24? Commissioner Mejia.
I have on a question, I guess it's more for central services and just, so we, the board members, we started mailing out the notices for tax title properties based on previous commissioner interest. I'm wondering, like, I know this takes a lot of staff time in central services. I don't know that, I'm assuming it does. And then just some mailing cost, and central services did take quite a hit. I'm wondering, is this something, or I guess I'm asking the board, is this something that the board would continue to like to do? Or in my stance, I would rather save whatever funding and staff time we have in central services, just given those cuts.
Can we, let me follow up with central services, let me have them assess what is that level of effort, what is the, I mean, there definitely is a benefit on the, at the end of it, but let's find out what that level of effort is and we can come back.
Yeah, and they've been, Central Service has been fantastic to work with in regards to, hey, we've got another list of properties, when do you want to get these sent out, working very closely with my staff. It's been 3 or 4 months since we sent any out because I have not had a revenue officer since the 1st of June. I will next Monday. I'm promoting one of my customer service people, so, but it's gonna take her a while to get up to speed, so it'll probably be a few months before we even consider sending out any more. But it has been effective in getting these properties sold and back on the tax rolls.
Wasn't the workload more like upfront because like there was an inventory of properties, right? And now it's just, I don't know how they come in or how that inventory grows, but it shouldn't be.
So tax title, a property becomes tax title when it's subject to property tax foreclosure, goes to auction and receives 0 bids.
But that should be like a slow drip at this point versus.
It is.
At the beginning when we were trying to cover all the properties that were like out there, right?
Well, when I came into office, I think the inventory list was 177, 178 properties. We've gotten a few more, very few more since I've been in office. Just because our auction process has been so effective, but we're getting it down. Some of them, honestly, some of them are never gonna sell. They're just the parcels that are underneath Lake St. Clair, because people that originally platted that area, they paid no mind to where the water was and they just drew lots, so.
Okay, well, we can have a follow-up on that. Assistant County Manager. Thank you.
All right, thank you all.
Voucher list is item 25 for the week of September 29th. Any questions from the board? All right, one department item, Public Works, contract award for Boston Harbor wastewater treatment plant treatment improvements. Public Works.
Okay, morning again. Public Works is requesting the board award a contract for Boston Harbor wastewater treatment plant improvements to Award Construction, Inc. in the amount of $541,500. Future requirements under the Department of Ecology's Puget Sound General Permit and the individual facility permit for the wastewater treatment plant will require treatment for nutrient removal prior to discharge into Puget Sound. In anticipation of these future requirements, our team received grant funding to construct nutrient treatment improvements, over $423,000 in grant funding. In addition to the nutrient treatment improvements, the capital project work will include replacement of equipment that is at the end of its useful life, which will be funded through REIT 2 funds and utility rates. We did send out an invitation to bid solicited under the MRSC Small Works roster, and 2 bids were received. The low responsive bid was from Award Construction, Inc. Questions on that?
This specific contractor gets a lot of awards from us. Is that because they just are the lowest bidder, only getting 2 bids? Is that normal or is that?
I mean, that's a hard thing to determine. It varies. It varies at the time of year, right? It depends on what their schedule is for events. So I actually would have to go back and see how many times we've awarded it to Award Construction, but
It's a lot. I know.
Does it seem like a lot to you?
That name doesn't.
I well, I mean, I've used them too in the past for things, and I know that they usually have a good bid, but that one we've read a lot, so I'm just curious how that.
They like doing work with the county and they come in with competitive bids. That would be how I would take it.
Probably.
Yeah.
But I know that like these jobs are hard right now and there's a lot of construction companies out there and I know that a lot of contractors are having a hard time getting contracts. I would think that we could
I would say when we use the small work roster, we send it out to everybody that is on that small work roster, so they are definitely getting notification of the opportunity.
Wastewater stuff is, I know it's a pretty specialized area. In lot, we get the same kind of, the same crews that seem to bid every time too, and I think they're
Depends on what
probably
they're doing out there.
Yeah, depends what they're doing, but there's a lot of specialized between the equipment and the chemical processes and stuff. It's pretty, probably not that many companies want to get that specialized.
I think these guys are general like just a general construction company though.
How many folks are on that list?
I would have to go back and ask how many were on the small works roster list.
The ballpark?
No, it's a huge
It's a-
list
yeah,
and then
it's
it's checked for
Specific.
specialties, so.
Yes. I can certainly follow up on that if it's helpful for information.
Or maybe we do just a public information campaign on how to be a participant in the small works roster and.
Yes, that is part of what the service that MRSC provides, is making sure that that information, that they know how easy it is. That's why we use MRSC, is
Yeah.
because of the ease of use and their breadth and depth of
But
communication
we,
now.
as a county, can educate our contractor community about the small works roster. 'Cause I mean, it's,
I think we have some information on our webpage, but we can certainly look at that and look and update, potentially refresh that if it's not clear.
It's built to be an inclusive process, correct?
Correct.
So I
It's a
think,
very low barrier to get on. the list.
it is.
so I would say that if there's,
But there's new contractors coming online all the time that might not even know about it.
right, you can definitely direct them to Public Works so that they can educate them on how to access it. I think what we find is in some situations that they put out the bid, but only a few folks actually respond to the bid.
Yeah, and it is a local company, which is a good thing.
Absolutely.
I will also add, for going down a path, but I will also add that our procurement specialist has attended panels and things that talk about how people can be a part of bidding on government contracts. So we do very much try and get the information out there so that people understand how to do business with the county.
Where's Ferndale?
I thought it's out of Tumwater, isn't it?
No.
Oh,
Ferndale up in.
Construct, yeah, you're right. No, it's not local. I thought Construct Inc. was in Tumwater.
I thought Ferndale.
There was a
Isn't there
construction.
Southern California, Ferndale?
You were thinking about the sheriff's one.
Lawndale, I
It's
think.
the same company. isn't it?
Lawndale.
Construct Inc.
It's like, yeah, there's like the hardcore band, famous place and.
Oh,
Award
not
Construction
Construct Inc.
Inc.
Construct Inc. is the one that I was thinking of that's in Tumwater.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying, like, I don't remember seeing award Inc.
Okay. Well, it says, I missed the award. I just saw Construct Inc. And it stepped out of my mind because.
I actually don't remember
North of
what we've done
Bellingham.
with award construction.
That's
but
what
I
I'm
did-
saying.
My bad. So I walked back that, but the comment about Construct Inc. is.
All right. Okay, very good. Then we're good on that item, and then we'll have public comment related to general matters, community reports from commissioners, and adjournment. Now at 3:30, there are three proposed, or not proposed, there are three public hearings. The first one is updates to the county code regarding sanitary landfill operations.
Okay, I stayed put. This is a request, we will hold a public hearing on November 4th. The proposed ordinance will remove solid waste rates from code. Will instead authorize the board to adjust and set their rates by resolution. In addition, the revisions include minor administrative changes. It provides a more efficient, streamlined approach to setting rates. It does not adjust the rates, as we discussed earlier. Those rates will be set through the 26-27 budget adoption process. We also recently made this change for the stormwater code, where rates are being adopted by resolution there. And so all of that is consistent now across Public Works for all of our rate setting. Questions on that?
Okay. Second one is thank you, Karen. Second one is the Long Lake Management District creation ordinance. So we kind of covered this, but anything that we should know about this one?
No. Right, so as we just discussed, once the votes are tallied, if the vote is yes, then it moves to this public hearing process to set the ordinance.
So there's two more public hearings because we're also
And then
setting
after
one
that
on about
is the-
assessment
Is
rates.
the fees. Yep.
On December 2nd.
You got it.
both of which will go if their vote is negative.
Correct. They will not happen if the vote is negative.
But, okay,
We just had
So-
this conversation in the hall, so I see the confusion. So we have to plan for the future. So setting this public hearing allows for, if the vote is yes, then we have the public hearing to create it. Once it's created, then we have to do the assessment, and then we have a public hearing to have the participants say, this is how much it's gonna cost you. So a public hearing for the creation and a public hearing for the fees.
yes, and this is all just worth probably repeating because it's been a little bit of time, but this is all community driven. Like,
That's right.
it's not the county or commissioners that are proposing these mixed management districts. We're supporting of them if they're created through this community process.
It is interesting that like this one's been around, what, 50 years is what we said, something like that. And there's been folks that have come in upstairs saying, I didn't even know about it. And they've lived in that community for 10 years and, you know, like, but it is kind of.
And Commissioner Mitzer is right on. It's initiated by the folks that live around the lake. And the facilitation of the process is what the Board of County Commissioners does.
Okay, and then the last public hearing is,
Just a note on that one, Chair, that we'll need to change that to the public health item. We'll change the contact there.
oh yeah, public health on that, and then,
Thank you.
Although Ashley's happy to. At any time.
Nice try. Dr. Fry, nice try.
and then the last public hearing, third, is about the periodic comprehensive plan update.
Yeah, so this is the culmination of about 2.5 years worth of work, this public hearing before the board and preparation for a final action this year, hopefully on December 16th. We had a briefing last week to cover the public comments that have come in used to date. I know they're gonna keep coming in. And I would just invite you between now and the public hearing, if you want to sit down with staff, we're available and happy to have one-on-ones if you'd like.
Questions? Okay, so those hearings will happen at 3:30. Probably take a fair bit of time, and that's the November 4th review. So next up is a closed session pursuant to RCW 4230-144B. That portion of a meeting during which the governing body is planning or adopting strategy or position to be taken by the governing body during the course of any collective bargaining, professional negotiations, or grievance or mediation proceedings, or reviewing the proposals made in the negotiations or proceedings while it's in progress. Collective bargaining is our, and with Commissioner Grant stepped out, could we take 5 minutes?
Yes, so we can start with 20 minutes on this one, Chair.
So we'll move into executive session at about 10:02 and we'll be in till 10:22 in 20 minutes. Yeah.
At 10 o'clock.
All right, 10:32, we've completed our executive session and that's item 3. Last item's commissioner items. Before we conclude, does Commissioner have anything on? Going once, going twice?
We have the elected officials social tomorrow.
Right. And there's a program of some kind, or I'll be late if I'm here at all. I think I'll be here, but I won't be here at the front end.
We are in the process of securing a 4-foot version of the Frank Jr. statue. So that will be able to be displayed and unveiled tomorrow. Also, aside from that, we own a 7-acre campus as of yesterday. Signed the paperwork. It's a done deal.
I want to talk about the walkthrough that we did. Should we?
Sure.
Commissioner items tomorrow, right?
Commissioner items tomorrow? Okay.
I mean, sure, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, well, we can talk more about it tomorrow, but we did a quick walkthrough with leadership at the Attorney General's office, their chief of staff, their deputy, I can't remember Laura's title, but then through the union presidents, and I thought it went really well. We had Superior Court judges, we had District Court Administrator, we had Commissioner Fournier and I, County Manager, Josh, everybody I thought chimed in, did a good job, like presenting the kind of complete picture. They seemed to be really receptive to, I thought, what we were asking.
The judges did great. Judge Murphy did an excellent job. Frankie did an excellent job.
So I would say this is important for all the commissioners and leadership and the public to understand is that Thurston County is different than every other county in the state because there are nearly 100 RCWs that require Thurston County be the venue for state cases. So that sets our Superior Court aside from the rest of all the courts in the state, which then goes into why it's different and why the funding of Superior Court or building for Superior Court and the courts is needed to have those cases as the venue. So there is a place where we're trying to get that story to the attorney generals and out into the public, but recognizing that our Thurston County Superior Court is unique.
It's like
Per
doing
RCW.
double duty. It's like a
That's
local
right.
court and it's a state court
That's
at the
exactly
same
right.
time.
We would like to anticipate several more tours with stakeholders. I think seeing that location and all the challenges from the jury room being right next to a judge's office, right next to the restroom, it being like a 5x7 room that also has a copier and stacks of paper. All of that needs to be seen, as well as the fact that when it rains, water comes through, et cetera. Our next step internally is we are working with the architects. We had thought that they had developed a plan that looked at buildings 1 and 2 for only court services. But when we looked at that in greater detail, they had other functions in there. So we have to work with them to pull that out, to have a more detailed conversation with Superior Court about what are the potential options and what are the amounts. I think that is gonna dovetail with our ask at the state level for the 50 million broken up into 3 different tranches, 5 million to get the design and planning initiated, 25 to start construction, and 20 to complete it. That's gonna be an important request, but if you're gonna, now that we own the building, you might start getting asked by other offices and departments, where are we gonna be situated? We haven't dialed that in because the first step is to determine whether or not we can work with district and Superior Court in that envelope to get them situated. It's our earnest hope that we can. In looking at the space in that tour, it's just a stark reminder that those buildings are not operationally viable. I think currently, but definitely for the long haul. And so it's a matter about how can we reconfigure that? And there's some work we need to do with our consultant and possibly bring on a sub that has a local perspective, because we have a opportunity to use those buildings to get us what we need as far as number of courtrooms, operational necessities, security, et cetera. But we need the architect to be a little bit more focused on the current situation and not so much about the former situation, which was the remodel and then building brand new. Those are no longer necessarily the same context. We need to focus on this context to see if we can work it through. And that's what Josh and our capital facilities team and our central services director are working through right now.
It was probably inadvertent, but very powerful to go all through Superior Court, which is pretty bad. And then go to District Court, which is like another level.
Another level of bad. It was like going into the depths of hell.
It was like, oh my God, I couldn't, so that was good. Commissioner Klaus.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask really quick for an update on where we stand with the motion we made last Wednesday, requesting the law and justice offices work together to prepare a share reduction plan. I understand, based on an update that we got from the clerk of the board, which I appreciate the update and keeping us all in the loop. My understanding is that we did not receive a proposal, and I just want to make sure that understanding is correct and kind of get an idea of where that leaves us and what our next steps are on that conversation.
Yeah, I'll turn to the clerk. Did you receive anything?
I did not.
Okay. Yep, so neither did I. The clerk nor the county manager received any proposals from the stakeholders based on the motion that was made.
Okay, so then my next question was, where does that leave us?
Everyone's looking at me. It leaves us right where we left off with the budget targets and the process that's moving forward. I'm not sure.
Yep.
I,
So what are our next steps going to be to get summer a budget? I guess is the.
So we're working with the offices to submit their reduction plans based on the targets that were given. There's still a couple outstanding offices. We have some conversations to be had. And I know Maria is talking through with some of the offices about the confidentiality component because we need to know what aspects of their budget they're affecting. But the summer's moving forward with the information that the board provided based on the direction that they took. And that's where it stands. There's the continued process of the budget based on the calendar that we'll be bringing back to the board, I think effective even next week. There's some decisions about the amendment 3, et cetera.
Cool.
Okay, thank you. I guess I'm wondering when the next opportunity will be to discuss some of the items that our motion stemmed from last week, which was the concern around where we are currently, which last week it was 10.8 million in cuts, and I think we've reduced it a bit more now. And Summer was able to get me those updated numbers last week. But my question last week was if the board can look at specifically the justice system and the cuts related to those offices mentioned in the motion and the impact that that will have on the system as a whole. And in the absence of a proposal from those offices, I still think it's important for the board to have that discussion. So is there going to be time on the agenda this week to have that discussion, or are we going to have to wait until next week? Because as Commissioner Mejia asked me last week during that conversation, if the proposal from the offices will result in a conversation about more cuts, my answer was yes, it could, because I wanted to understand if there is going to be substantial harm caused by the disproportionate level of cuts to various offices. I would want to get ahead of that. So that's still a conversation that I think the board needs to have. And I'm just wondering when we'll be able to have that conversation.
I don't know the answer.
I imagine we'll continue having conversations.
Right, but this is a specific conversation I was hoping to have, and I just kind of am wondering why the boardroom gets so quiet when this is brought up. I think that
I can tell you why I get so quiet when this is brought up, because understanding the justice system and all the impacts is what I've been doing in my head constantly since like late August, early September. So I don't particularly understand what the conversation will be and how it will be useful. I don't want to shut anyone's ability down to bring something for discussion, but I don't have anything myself to discuss. I've thought very carefully about the choices we've made and how they'll impact the justice system and how the pieces are interrelated. I was open to hearing what the partners might say, that if they think we've got it wrong in some way and wanted to come up with an alternative, I'm super open to that. But for the 5 of us to just talk about it, I feel like that's what we've been doing for the last month and a half.
And I feel the same way. I mean, I've been deep in this for the past 2 months and thinking about it for the full year when, you know, initially we started talking and, you know, previously since October of 2024, when this was brought to our attention, and that's, you know, that's kind of where I'm at too. I don't know. I don't know the purpose, so.
Okay. Commissioner Klaus, your hand's still up.
yeah, so for me, the purpose is having a public conversation as a full board about this specific cut that we're at now. And so last week when we discussed this, Similar comments were made about us having these conversations over the last year, but I'm talking specifically about the decision that we made a week or two ago that got us to the exact number that we are at now, for cuts to those offices mentioned in the motion last week. And so, you know, while I appreciate all of the work that we've all put in individually, I don't think that spinning our wheels in our head is the same as having a board conversation in public about these specific cuts. So if there's something I can do to make my request more clear for commissioners to understand the purpose of the conversation, I'm happy to find a way to articulate it that makes sense for everybody, but I'm trying to go about this in the most like respectful, transparent way possible, because I know we get into kind of heated conversations sometimes about the process. And so because we can't meet outside of the public eye, I'm trying to bring these conversations to the full board meetings in the work sessions and agenda settings, because I'm trying to get an understanding of the board's view of the most appropriate way to go about this conversation, if that makes sense. So that's why I'm kind of asking for feedback from the board, because I don't want to just spring it on everybody in a commissioner's item when it's not on the agenda and say, here's what I think about the whole legal system and what these cuts are going to entail and the implications of these cuts. So yeah, I'm just kind of wondering when we can put this conversation on the agenda so that we can have it.
I guess you could make a motion to put a discussion on the agenda at a certain time and see if there's support to do that.
Well,
I don't know, well, I don't know how else to proceed.
so how else do, I mean, other commissioners get items on the agenda without making motions, I guess? Like, there are items that come up on the agenda frequently from various commissioners, and all it takes is one commissioner to put something on an agenda for a conversation. So I'm not understanding why I would need to make a motion to have a discussion.
I think it's, I mean, I think generally speaking, if it's some new item, then I think there's sort of an implicit understanding that you know, we put those on. This is a little bit in a unique category for me because we've literally had work session after work session after discussion after discussion after discussion. So at this point, I think it's in a slightly different category where there needs to be board interest in having a conversation. And you say we haven't had the conversation since the cuts. When the cuts were first proposed, when all the different applications of additional money, that was the time to say, I don't think that should go to Superior Court. I think it should go to the clerk. I don't think that should go to juvenile. Like, those were all discussions. So in my view, we've had many discussions on the very thing that you're proposing a discussion on, which is why I think this is in a slightly different category in terms of just commissioner latitude to stick it on an agenda. Maybe I'm wrong about that. That's just kind of a high level off the top of my head.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I guess I'll leave it there. I don't want to do the same thing we did last week and kind of spin our wheels on it, but I'll try to think of a better way to request this conversation and bring it back when I've done that, I guess, if the board's not up for it right now. And I don't want to make a motion to have a conversation, so I'll figure out a new way, and I'll maybe talk with the county manager to see what he suggests on how to bring this forward.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Klaus. No other commissioner items for adjourned.